Hello and welcome to another BBA case study. It's a little bit different this time. We're joined by Nigel Blacklock from Bauder, who isn't quite with us yet. That's because this case study needed a different intro. Nigel, in the end, turns the tables on the BBA and asks them a couple of interesting questions about their future. So stay tuned until the end to find out the answers. Nigel, welcome.
It's good to be here.
Fantastic. Today I'm joined by Nigel Blacklock. Absolutely delighted. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to ask him to do his own introduction anyway. Nigel, take it away. Give us an introduction to yourself.
Well, I'm Nigel Blacklock. I'm the technical director at Bauder. I've been here for just over 6 years. I've been in the flat roofing industry now for a number of years, and I have actually been probably representing the UK in Europe on most of the flat roofing technical committees for at least 20 years in many cases. So perhaps one of the reasons why I'm quite well known. I've been the technical chair of SPRA for many years, and very active supporting the technical in the LRWA and NFRC. So basically bringing the knowledge back to the industry, specifically the flat roofing industry.
Fantastic. Great introduction. Better than I could have done. So we've had an introduction to yourself. You said you work for Bauder. Can you give us a brief background about Bauder as an organization?
Yeah, so Bauder is a wholly owned family business based in Stuttgart in Germany, and Bauder Limited is and has been based for over 40 years now in Ipswich. And the key thing is that we specialize and we only deal with flat roofing or membrane roofing systems. That's our specialism. That's all we do.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'd like to do now, you've mentioned who you are and a brief background in terms of Bauder, the organisation. I want to get a bit more specific here. Today we're here to talk about agreement certifications. Bauder established in agreement certifications with that relationship with the BBA. So could you explain what products Bauder currently have which have a BBA agreement certificate?
Sure. So at the minute, I suppose most of our products should be covered by agreement certificates. We actually have 8 certificates, but within those certificates, there are often many products under some of those certificates. So first and foremost is our reinforced bitumen membrane systems, both our green roofing systems as well as our non-green roofing. And we also have single ply, both our Thermofol PVC and our Thermoplan polyolefin. We have our Baycore, which is our hot melt systems, both for flat roofing and for tanking. Not forgetting insulation, we're a manufacturer of polyisocyanate insulation, so our PIR insulation also has an agreement certificate. Then we have 3 certificates which are repros. One of them is for our roof light systems. The next one is for our liquid top, which is our relatively new PU lamb for the marketplace, and also our long-standing Liquid Tech, which is a PMMA lamb waterproofing.
Fantastic, long illustrious list there. I think covering all elements. Okay, so big questions coming up here. First and foremost, with all these agreement certificates, they must hold some importance to Bowder, unless you wouldn't maintain and have them and look to develop more. But why choose the BBA?
Well, one of the key things is the fact that we could state that our products do all these different things, but then we would have said that, wouldn't we? As a famous lady once said. And basically, we need independent verification, and I think our customers need it. And never has that been more apparent than in the current climate, certainly after Grenfell and everything we're seeing at the minute. So that's even more important. It's the reason why it is I put so much pressure on you guys back. The fact you need to be good, because we need you to be good in terms of quality, and then there are some other practical reasons. If I take you back to those number of years that I've been around in flat roofing, in the very earliest days, probably one of the big areas for BBA was flat roofing membranes. And let's go back sort of 30 years, as the flat roofing didn't have such a good reputation. And therefore, you needed independent verification. And one of the things that was very easy for us to say was how long our roof systems lasted, but it was a really important one for flat roofs for longevity. And it was a statement that BBA were prepared to say. And that was the reason, one of the key reasons why a lot of the BBA certificates were sought after by the flat roofing manufacturers, because it was lots of the other information was readily available, but the one that was a bit more difficult was somebody to independently say how long they reasonably thought a flat roofing system was going to last.
Okay, that makes perfect sense, and hopefully the BBA have added that value into that marketplace, and ongoing dialogue with yourself and with other organisations is always the bonus that keeps building on that experience. Speaking of experience, one thing I always like to ask people in these case studies is, what has your experience been like working with the BBA?
I think it's had its ups and its downs. I would say that it has a lot more ups in the last 2 years. And as I said, is the fact that I'm a big critic when it's needed in terms of when it wasn't going so well. And I think what has been demonstrated in recent times is we've been listened to, and I don't mean Bauder wholly. I mean the industry as a whole is we're actually being asked our opinions on a number of things, and also at the moment it's been um, an element of trying to distinguish between the customers that are experienced and have dealt with BBA for years, and those that, and of course there's quite a lot of these also, that are newbies that have not dealt with BBA before. We pretty much know as to how you guys work and have been dealing with some of your staff for many, many, many years. And therefore, there are, if you like, two speeds. And so one of the bits that we certainly appreciate is the acknowledgement that there is that difference. But generally is the fact that I think one of the bits that is often complained about is always about money. And I always say it's, well, in the end, well, then don't have a BBA certificate and see how you get on it in the market then. So nobody likes paying out money, but in the end, I don't think that's a fair criticism compared to many other things that might be out there. So yeah, I think it's getting better, and I think consistency of staffing and also just certain individuals that we've dealt with for a long time and continue to deal with those also helps. And so that might be quite specific to say flat roofing, where there are some key, very experienced people that we deal with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fantastic. So, in your kind of experience right at this moment in time, is there any improvements that you can see, or is it just a case of keep on improving?
Yeah, I obviously keep on improving. There are, for us, one of the key things is what we're looking for is a sort of one-stop shop in terms of a place we can come for all our accreditation. So, for instance, there are some bits that at the minute that aren't covered. So that would be a gap, because then it's not a one-stop shop. And there are some bits that are not wholly to do with BBA's normal area that maybe could be covered there as well. Because if you're a user of the BBA certificate and you're looking at Bauder products, you ideally want to go and see what all the information you can find about them. And so that's one area, is just broadening the coverage. And I'm sure we're going to get on to sustainability is not particularly covered at the moment. And yeah, there are environmental sustainability issues, and then there are a few things that are coming out of Grenfell, which I think more on the fire side, which probably need to be tighter.
Okay, fantastic. So we're coming to the end of this little chat, and I always like to give any guests the opportunity to provide any final thoughts. So Nigel, have you got any final thoughts before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, well, I suppose in the end, just on those last few points, I would like to actually turn the tables a little bit and ask the BBA as to what they are doing in terms of, I suppose, digitization of the certification, because it has been quite analog for quite a number of years, and we do feel that we keep having to reinvent the wheel each time we have an update on certification. So I think digitization is going to be a way. What is BBA doing in that area? And the other one was really just what I was just talking about, was what about how is the BBA going to cover things like environmental product declarations? At the minute, somebody can come and ask for a BBA certificate, but we always have to send them our EPDs as well. Whereas ideally is the fact that it's something that could be covered in the same document. So, what other initiatives are there to get to this ideal thing of a one-stop shop?
Okay, fantastic. I think with those questions in mind, I'd like to hand over to Bill Hewlett to answer those questions. So before I do that, Nigel, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me. Really interesting to hear about what Bauder are doing in terms of working with the BBA, your thoughts on the industry and where the BBA should go next. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Bill, it's over to you.
Okay, well, thanks, Nigel. Thanks, Peter, for inviting me onto your broadcast this morning.
No problem.
Great to be involved. Always nice to have some good questions from a customer. Gets us going at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
So first off, I'd like to thank Nigel for his very kind comments about BBA, and it's great to have that reinforcement from a customer. So I mean, key things that he said that caught my ear anyway were about the third-party accreditation, the need for that, and I'd absolutely validate that thought. And perhaps many people don't know, but I've not been in BBA very long. I'm really a practitioner from the broader industry, and I'd absolutely validate the importance of third-party accreditation. Always something I've used in my professional career before now. So I've stepped, if you like, on the other side of the table. I'm glad to be providing that. It's glad to see that value. So thank you for that. Really nice comment that Nigel needs BBA to be good, I think were his words. And that of course, it's nice to have that aspiration to really doing a good job and have the enthusiasm to do that, and indeed the pull towards doing that. So it's great in this world. Too many people talk about race to the bottom, that sort of thing. We're hearing a very opposite message here. We're talking about BBA needs to be good, so we're totally focused on that. And technical director of the firm, I've got that privilege. Very much up for that, and we're putting in place continuously in changing and improving our business internally, perhaps not quite so visible, but always to keep up with that high bar that Nigel sets. And also the point about longevity attestation. I think this is, arguably one of the things that drew me to BBA as a career change. As an engineer, it's very difficult to predict the future. Of course, that's a lot about what engineering is, making change with purpose and with assurance. So giving that longevity attestation, particularly when a product is innovative, and let's go back to the early days of the BBA. That's why BBA was established, was to give this validation of products to ensure their longevity, or assure their longevity in the marketplace. That's something we're very proud to do, and it's great that Nigel picks on that. But perhaps slightly more to the questions. Nigel did point out that listening was good, so perhaps better show I listened. Safety, durability, sustainability, digital. in that order, I have to say. Safety first, so given in my world anyway. Durability, what BBA has always done, clear differentiator, something we're very proud of doing. Sustainability, that's in a sense durability for the future world we're going into, and digital. If we don't digitize BBA or any other business, we won't be a business, in my view. So if you take the revolution in, say, booking a hotel, I was at Holiday Inn last night, I can book that anywhere in the world, anytime, online, quick as anything, be it in America, Australia, wherever, or just down the road in Watford. Why is that? It's because the digital basis for that process, it's there, and many people have built off that. So that's something that BBA is driving forward with. We've got a project running, internal project, we've codenamed it Utopia, and that's absolutely to bring digitization to our certification. It's a big investment for us. So we're doing that, we're on with that. We've got very good resources involved, a team, I'm personally leading that team, but a very, very good team working on that. So let's turn to sustainability. Clearly absolutely needed, in a sense always has been. You might argue that longevity is a part of sustainability. If you have things that crumble and fall down, not very sustainable are they? Rebuilding is a very expensive thing to do in sustainability terms, particularly if you're using materials like concrete or perhaps steel. That's quite reusable, but many of the materials we use are not immediately reusable. So we need to think that one through. So what we've done, and this is actually in response to feedback from our Agrimon consultation, which I led last year, talked to Nigel and many others across the industry, a lot of feedback there. We want to add a section to our certificates on sustainability, and this plays to the theme that Nigel pointed to as having a sort of more of a one-stop shop around the certificate. So it includes the breadth of data that certificate users want. And this is an interesting dilemma actually in the world of certification, that the certificates, they're paid for by the manufacturers. I don't think there's any secret about that. That's where the need is determined, and they're our clients in a sort of narrow sense of the word. Obviously a lot of impartiality around that, and our accreditation to 17065 and related standards there makes that impartiality very clear. But we have this dilemma that actually the value is taken from the certificate users, for whom the information is free. You can go to our website and download certificates, the information's there. So the value chain is quite interesting in that regard, and that's something we need to be very mindful, indeed are very mindful of. If Nigel's giving us some good feedback there, and indeed we've had that feedback from others, that they want more of a one-stop shop. So if that perhaps plays me back to where I started with the digital and getting an easily accessible format that our certificates can be used and integrate with the new emerging digital world, BIM and the golden thread of information and so forth. That's where we're heading with this one. It's quite a big project. If you look at other businesses who made these transformations, it's not done overnight, it's done over years. That's where we're going on that one. So that's a snapshot. I mean, I guess I could talk for hours, but I don't suppose people want to listen to me for hours. So I'm very happy to park it there. I mean, this is all ongoing dialogue. There's plenty of conversation. People know where we are. They can ask questions. Go through our website and other media in order to access BBA. As Nigel pointed out, we're getting much better about integrating listening to others. And we put mechanisms in place to do that. And of course, Peter, it works in the team that represents that initiative within BBA. So, Peter, I'm going to park it there. I could speak more detail. I could get back to our Agrimon consultation we did last year. That's published to market. So if anybody wants to read that, that sets our intent very clearly. So I would perhaps draw attention to that. Thank you.
Fantastic, Bill. Appreciate the answers. Appreciate your time. Exciting times ahead. Thank you so much for joining me.
There's lots going on. Thanks, Peter.